anything better than a warm chocolate chip cookie? You know what? There really is something better. One that doesn't spike your blood sugar. So today on All Day I Dream About Food, we're making my perfect thick and chewy keto chocolate chip cookies. I spent several months perfecting this recipe. I tried it multiple times in slightly different ways each time. And when I had it right, I published it. It went crazy. People are loving it and giving it rave reviews. I thought I might read a couple of those reviews to you right now. Margaret says, "My husband had mentioned that he was craving chocolate chip cookies, and I remembered seeing this recipe and thought I would give it a try. They were super easy to make and turned out delicious. He asked me twice, 'Are you sure these are keto?' That is high praise." Mark says, "I, like another commenter, tried so many keto chocolate chip cookie recipes the past few years and none of them wowed me. I made this one yesterday and absolutely loved them. Perfect taste and texture. Thank you so much." So what makes these keto chocolate chip cookies so special? Is there some sort of magic ingredient? Well, you'll be happy to hear that there isn't. It takes basic keto ingredients that you can find almost anywhere. It's really about the ratio and how you mix them together that makes the difference. So let's get started. So first let's talk about the almond flour. This is a recipe where I highly recommend measuring the almond flour out by weight rather than volume. For things like cakes and muffins, it doesn't make much of a difference if you're off by 10, 20, even 30 grams, but it really makes a difference for these cookies. Too much almond flour and they don't spread enough, too little almond flour and they spread too much. So we're going to measure out exactly 200 grams of almond flour. If you have a kitchen scale, I recommend using it, and you just want to put your mixing bowl right on top and zero it out again, and then you can scoop your almond flour right into it. So if you don't have a kitchen scale, you can measure it out as 2 cups. It may vary a little, but 1 cup here takes us to 109 grams. So I want a little less than a cup for the next one. Perfect, there we go. The next thing that I think makes a real difference is the sweetener. For this recipe, I really like Swerve Brown. It is the best brown sugar replacement out there. It actually smells and tastes like real brown sugar, and it has a moisture content that actually helps the cookies. So we're gonna measure out 3/4 cup. Now, like real brown sugar, Swerve Brown tends to kind of pack. You can't just easily scoop it. So people ask me all the time whether it should be packed, and I like to say it should be lightly packed. It kind of packs itself as you scoop it out anyway. It also tends to stick together like real brown sugar, so when I put it in a recipe like this, I like to break it up a little so that I don't get any big clumps. Next, we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Notice I did not say baking powder. You really want the baking soda. It somehow makes them puffier and softer, and it browns them really nicely. So we'll just use 1/2 teaspoon of that and 1/4 teaspoon salt. Now you just want to whisk your dry ingredients together and break up any clumps in any of the ingredients. The next step is to add some melted butter. Now, normally in my previous baking life, I would have said creaming butter was the most important thing for chocolate chip cookies. But for some reason, this recipe works best with melted butter. It makes them, again, puffier, chewier, absolutely delicious. So that's 1/2 cup of melted butter and 1 large egg. And finally, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And we'll just stir that together until the ingredients are nicely combined. Okay, that's looking great, so we can add our chocolate chips. I have 1/2 cup of sugar-free dark chocolate chips here. You can use whatever chocolate chips you like best. And I always like to save a few for the tops of the cookies. And if you like nuts in your chocolate chip cookies, you can add 1/4 cup of either chopped pecans or chopped walnuts. And just work those in until you have a nice distribution throughout the dough. Now we're ready to shape our cookies. You really don't want to crowd these cookies on the pan, so if you don't have like a nice really big cookie sheet, make sure you use 2 of them. You can line it with either parchment or silicone. I prefer the silicone mats because it seems to protect the bottom of the cookies a little better. Then you just want to take some of the cookie dough and roll it into 1.5 inch balls and place it on your cookie sheet. You can make these cookies a little smaller and get more of them, but I tend to like the bigger cookies. I get about 18 of them. Make sure you give the cookies plenty of space because they actually do spread a bit. So you want about 2 inches between each ball. So I've rolled all my cookies into 1.5 inch balls, and I actually got 19 this time, which probably speaks to the fact that I snuck fewer tastes of the cookie dough as I was rolling them. Keto cookies always need a little help spreading, so you're gonna press them down a bit. They do spread some on their own, so only press them down to about 3/4 inch thick. You're just basically trying to start the process off a bit for the cookies. And once you've got them pressed down a bit, if you saved any chocolate chips, you can just press them into the tops of the cookies. It just gives it a little bit more visual appeal. And now our perfect keto chocolate chip cookies are ready for the oven. They go in at 325 for 15 to 18 minutes. You're looking for them to be puffed on top and golden brown around the edges. They will still be very soft when you take them out of the oven. Cookies, 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 cookies. My husband's behind the camera dancing along with me. Okay guys, I have taken the chocolate chip cookies out of the oven. They smell amazing and we are ready to dig in. Let me show you one. Look at this beautiful chocolate chip cookie. It's round, it's spread a little, it's thick, it's chewy, and I'm gonna dig right in. There's a reason that these cookies are getting rave reviews all over the place. You have to try them. These really are the perfect keto chocolate chip cookies. They're big and chewy and tender. For these awesome keto chocolate chip cookies and so much more, please check out alldayidreamaboutfood.com.